Ahoy captains, welcome back to Boat Crew. We have an exciting episode today. Shock and awe has arrived in the Pacific. Boat Crew's received yet another major update that has seen the addition of an extra PT boat. You can see her there on the screen. Tell me in the comments if you know what it is. And as well as a few more destroyers. It's really cool. And as we approach full release, I am envisioning this game to be quite successful in years going forward. Today's purpose is to show you one of the major new features, which is the Boatuary. The Boatuary has an illustration and description of all the boats, aircraft, and ships that you will see and be supported by throughout your campaign in the Pacific as the skipper of a PT boat. Everybody's favourite PT boat, PT 104 and Lean Jean and her famous skipper Murray Baker will soon be returning to the Pacific to finish their tour, and you need to keep an eye out for that. I also have one copy of Boat Crew to give away, which I'm going to draw on Christmas Eve, so there's plenty of time to draw. If you want to get into the draw for that, join the Discord, give yourself the giveaways role, and we'll have one code of Boat Crew arriving at your door perhaps. In the meantime, give me a like and a subscription as we dive into the Boatuary. And I like that the guns are shooting on all the ships. I don't know what they're shooting at, but they're shooting at something. Alright, so we will go through Japan first. We will set all. These will be in no particular order. We're starting with the A6M0, the Imperial Japanese Navy's legendary fighter. The Zero was designed for unmatched range and mobility for a fighter of its size at the cost of durability. Fragile, also nimble and evasive, the Zero follows wherever the Navy itself goes. I would like to see an addition of what weapons a ship has fitted to this screen, so that new players that have never fought anything in the Pacific or don't know anything about history are kind of given a bit of a starter guide as to what they're going to face. You know, this thing looks like it's got no weaponry, but the reality is it's packed with AA guns. And we managed to sink two of these bad boys in one mission in the last episode of Boat Crew. Murray Baker's a hero. We have the Nishan class seaplane tender, is a large support ship with inadequate anti-aircraft armament and limited main gun coverage, making them quite vulnerable to the bold attacks from a nimble PT boatman. Their toughness and firepower are not to be underestimated, as they are more than capable of punishing arrogance and carelessness. They can be found leading major landing operations across the Solomons, and if you're going to fight one of these, attack it from the stern, because the front guns do not have full rotation, so you will have a better time attacking from the rear. The Nagara class cruiser. Fast enough to lead destroyer squadrons, the Nagara cruiser comes with a battery of 7 14cm guns in a rather unusual turret configuration and a seaplane catapult for scouting operations. Designed for long distance missions at high speed, they are rarely seen near the shoreline, instead being committed to pursuing concentrations of hostile ships. We have fought one of those. It was very difficult, but we killed it. The Jingei class submarine tender, large and imposing. It is not meant to be a combat warship, but it could certainly fool an uneducated onlooker, as it is armed with enough firepower to outmatch most destroyers. It's held back by poor speed and a lack of agility, and a relative lack of armor for its size. The Sugar Baker Love is a large merchant ship with a cargo load and defensive armament to match. They are not the easiest ships to sink, but sinking of each one is a dire hit to enemy logistics in the area, and tends to be generously rewarding. Akizuki class destroyer is fast, durable destroyer of above average displacement, boasting impressive firepower. Streamlined hull and superstructure are designed for speed and stability, and they feature an air search radar and an array of rapid-fire dual-purpose guns. They are ships that truly lack for nothing, and their extreme caution is advised when approaching them. In particular, the variants that have absolutely packed with 25mm guns. They are deadly. The Fubuki is a revolutionary design when it was first entered into service, and is a workhorse of the Imperial Japanese Navy. They come in several flavors, including a nighttime supply runner, which is great for earning those extra rewards. The Fubuki can hold their own against most opposition, despite being quite long in the tooth. Quick and nimble and heavily armed, they are a natural predator of PT boats. The shock and awe patch brings us the Mutsuge class destroyer, another aging design that was once ahead of its time. It may lack the firepower of its younger cousins, but is nevertheless still a credible threat to any form of shipping or patrol craft. Generally spared frontline service, they are more commonly found escorting convoys and participating in flanking attacks. I'm not sure if this is a new one, but this is the Sugar Baker Sugar tanker with a strengthened deck and additional anti-aircraft armament, plus a deck full of mortars, as well as all the ammunition. Apparently prone to exploding, they are meant to provide firepower rather than enduring it, and I want to blow one up ASAP. Can't wait. I will be interested to see how many mortars they lay down when you charge them though. The Sugar Baker Sugar, this is the cargo variant. Duties ranging from carrying fuel to cargo and equipment. Not defenseless, but they will be the main bulk of your income as a PT boat captain. Sink these everywhere you see them. They're relatively easy. You can kill them with 40 mils. Just make sure they're the last thing you attack. Kill the screen first. The light minesweeper, designed to clear mines and ensure safe passage for vital supply convoys and troop transports, these auxiliary vessels became unsung heroes of Japan's naval operations, quietly clearing paths through the dangers of the Pacific. Basic armor and armament means that they will only really be a threat at the start of your campaign before you have meaningful damage output. The number 4 class subchaser is armed with a pair of dual Boatuary guns from stockpiles captured in the initial stages of the war. The number 4 subchaser is not particularly durable or fast, but makes up for it in its barrage of firepower that can punish careless approaches quite easily. They are very dangerous. They didn't actually have Boauaries, but for the sake of gameplay, that's what the devs have chosen, and I'm okay with that. We can respect history while still having fun. The motor gunboat, whose flag is almost bigger than the craft itself. The army's answer to needing to patrol coasts and escorting and harassing shipping. The motor gunboat is very quick and built for speed rather than durability or any form of endurance, and they are known to attempt to overrun wounded vessels and sink them like a pack of wolves. Another common sight, the small subchaser. Japan's first purpose-built submarine chaser, the number 1 class, lacks the armament and displacement of her later cousins, but is available in surprisingly large numbers, and you will see them everywhere. They are surprisingly heavy for their displacement, although they are still not a match for an alert PT boat crew on her own. In numbers, that could be a different story. The small patrol boat is fast, lightly armored, and they're effective combatants when they're in numbers, especially coastal and river engagements, but I don't think they use their torpedoes, so they are very, very little threat to you or your fleets. That may have changed. They could use torpedoes, who knows. Then we have the Cmdr. Type 2 is a lightly armored amphibious tank converted from a light tank design to be used during amphibious operations. Slow and helpless against long-range naval gunnery, its 37mm is very deadly in close-range fights, I can attest to that. They tend to be deployed in large numbers as part of amphibious landings. And to get them to float, they actually attached floats to the front and rear of the tank. Quite interesting. The Type A landing boat. Simple constructions meant for naval engagements. You can run these things over with your PT boat. I don't know if it's humane, but you can do it. Some are known to be equipped with whatever heavy weapons they could be found lying around to provide fire support and to surprise a PT boat looking for an easy hunt. When you fight these, they are in swarms of 10 to 15, so just run them down. Riverboats, squat and heavily armoured for their size, the Sokutai gunboat has been engaging in coastal and riverine warfare since before the Second World War, supporting amphibious landings with machine guns and cannons. Wherever they are, they're usually present in large numbers. You see these in swarms as well, and they are pretty resilient to your light machine guns, so you will need a 20mm or something with a bit of wallop to get through them. The Ki-84 Hyate, one of the highest performing fighters not only of Imperial Japanese Army but of the whole war. The Ki-84 Hyate is a tough, maneuverable fighter with very high lethality with its tightly grouped armament. PT boat captains encountering these are advised to take evasive actions quickly. They have 30mm and they slap. The D-3A dive bomber is characterized by its fixed landing gear and low-mounted wings, and was a common sight among naval attack formations. Not particularly durable or fast, it is nevertheless reliable and accurate enough for its given task. While a PT boat doesn't have much to fear from them, captains do. Big ships, they certainly have to worry, so you need to slap them down before they get a chance to strafe your convoys. We have the small seaplane tender, which is launched from a few ships, and they are a pain because they spot you straight away and then the battle is on, there's no sneaking. The Ki-45 Torayu, nicknamed the Dragon Slayer, is a tough, heavily armed twin-engine fighter intended to hunt bombers down across long distances. Naturally, the design requirements of such a task also made it good at skirmishing surface contacts. And it also has a big gun, so dodge it. And that looks like we're finished with Imperial Japan. Let's head over to the United States. The SBD Dauntless, a dive bomber that is capable and effective at a singular role of performing daring dive attacks. It can be said that however much the torpedo bombers may have underperformed, the Dauntless overperformed them just as much, forming the backbone of naval aviation capability against surface targets despite its slow speed. And if you've seen that one movie Midway, you'd know that the Dauntless can do anything apparently. The P-39 Airacobra, a low-altitude fighter with a 37mm gun through the engine block. The P-39 provides close air support with respectable loiter time for a plane of its size. Not the best fighter in the Allied arsenal, and it was used for Lend-Lease. Its versatility gives it a unique niche, especially appreciated by PT boat captains. The P-40 Warhawk, or Kitty Hawk as it's known in my country, was a rugged and reliable fighter that has started to show its age amidst the rapid development of aviation. Its relative lack of high-altitude capability does nothing to prevent it from both engaging surface and low-altitude targets with ease. The P-38 Lightning was made famous when it cut off the head of the snake, so to speak. With its distinctive twin-boom, twin-engine design, the Lightning is a high-performance fighter with enough lifting capacity for plenty of ammunition and weapons, including bombs and rockets. Not the most common sight, it is very much a welcome one considering its combat prowess. The F4F Wildcat, one of the most recognizable designs of World War II, was surpassed by newer designs, but it deserves respect for having been there when it matters, contributing in part to preventing a total rout in the critical opening stages of the war. Even now it is a capable dogfighter and can bring even a light loadout of bombs. One of my personal favourite aircraft of all time is the F4U Corsair. Replacing the Wildcat and growing a legend of its own, the Whistling Death is in effect a good fighter made even better. Capable of better performance, better payloads, and more endurance than its predecessor, the iconic shape makes it a sight to remember, and the sound, it made the Japanese pee themselves. New to boat crew as of the last major patch, the Casablanca class carrier is the most numerous class of carriers ever built, believe it or not. It is a rare example of emergency solutions having an elegant result. Operating a respectable sized air wing for their displacement, they can spread Allied air coverage far and wide thanks to their relative availability. So long as no one expects them to pull the weight of a fleet carrier, they will provide you with enough cover to suppress enemy air attacks, which I have experienced when two carriers just sent fighter after fighter after fighter at each other, and I just had to track down the enemy and kill them. The Macaulay class attack transport was converted from pre-war civilian ships, and it carries a respectable amount of troops, supplies and ammunition in support of landing operations and acts as the focal point for a major coastal invasion. Although capable of defending itself, they are too important to be left alone and so are usually accompanied by a strong retinue. The Liberty ship. Mass-produced and a credit to the Allied war machine, Liberty ships are quickly assembled and charged with carrying tons and tons of supplies across the ocean to fuel the ever-expanding war effort. Although they can defend themselves, their cargo is usually too important to leave defenseless, and it is one of the main duties of a PT boatman: protect the convoys. The Fletcher-class destroyer is one of the most numerous destroyers, and it is a formidable ship armed with 5 5-inch 38s, a state-of-the-art radar and effective anti-aircraft armament. Their crews were also well trained in damage control, resulting in a ship that punches above its weight, and everybody loves the Fletcher. The Barganet class tender, an all-inclusive buffet and a very welcome sight for PT boat captains, and I am one of them. The Barnegat class was originally designed as a seaplane tender, with some ships of the class then being pressed into service as PT boat tenders. Ammunition, fuel, repair kits, medical kits, replacement torpedoes, they're all available at the tender, acting as a force multiplier for any PT boat squadron. And you can basically win every fight if you have a tender with there, because you just spam torps. The John C. Butler class destroyer, lighter than the Fletcher but also generously equipped. It is a modern ship that can be found escorting strategically important vessels or assisting in landing ops. She can make short work of anything lighter, but will also hold her ground against heavier targets. Much lighter armed than the Fletcher, but I will look forward to their assistance. I'm yet to see one in battle. The PC-461 class submarine chaser is a relatively light sub chaser, tasked with finding and giving pursuit to enemy subs to keep the vital shipping lanes safe. Equipped with a pair of 3-inch 50 guns and a respectable AAA complement, they are also used as gunboats in escort or landing support duties. The Higgins boat is already an iconic, mass-produced landing boat capable of carrying a large number of troops, supplies, or munitions. Its forward drop-down ramp allows for easy offloading of cargo, saving precious seconds that may well make the difference between a successful landing or lots of mothers receiving letters. The LVT, an amphibious light tank meant for landing operations, these vehicles are meant to secure the beachhead and clear the way for heavier tanks to make landfall. Capable of defending themselves against soft targets, they still require escort and fire support against larger enemy surface combatants and coastal batteries. Now, the PT boats themselves aren't in the Boatpedia, so we will have to start up a new game to have a look at what we are now offered. Right, so the new starting screen is good. It gives you a basic idea of the stats of each of the boats. We have the 81-foot prototype, early war design, the 78-foot Huckins, which is a new one. It's got a fairly high top speed, good acceleration, good handling, and excellent engine cooling, but low durability, on par with the 78 Higgins. So I'm interested to see how the Huckins go. I actually don't know anything about that class at all, which is surprising to me, but I'm excited to dig in and see what it's all about. Now, the Huckins looks like it has pretty good deck space. The AA armament has a little bit of overlap in a forward and rear fire arc, but they block each other on the port and starboard side respectively, which means it's pretty good in terms of gun layout from my liking, very similar to the 78-foot Higgins. We've got a fairly generous torpedo loadout that we can put here. We've got a rear, front, and side slots. So we could just go full depth charges if we really wanted to, which is kind of my MO when I've been playing Boat Crew. Get close and depth charge them to hell. As I was saying, the AA armament looks to be pretty good. Like in a head-on attack, you'll be able to focus both of your machine guns on the target you're facing. You have a little bit less firepower on the port and starboard side. We've got the addition of the 3-inch 50 dual-purpose gun now to the game, which adds 3-inch shells with time fuse shells. So we could use that against aircraft. That's interesting. Very interesting. We have dual bowfalls, single bowfalls, dual oerlikon, single oerlikon. They're the same. And we have a heavy front weapon as well. So the Huckins can take lots of firepower. It could be the ultimate gunboat by the look of it. 2 3-inch 50s on the front and back. We can fit rockets as well. But we can't have a utility weapon as well as our front heavy weapon. And there does appear to be the addition of a 175mm howitzer now. Oh, sorry, it's the M1 75mm howitzer. I misread that. Wow. I was going to say 175mm gun on a PT boat is a bit insane. We also have the M2 107 mortar. So slightly bigger bore, bigger hit. Yeah, so that's how I would rock the Huckins. We're going to get, use an F instead of a H, and you get the mission of this boat. Let's have a look at its supply capabilities. That's one of the biggest drawbacks that I feel I have with PT-104. It doesn't have enough storage space. So we're able to stick some supplies up in the bridge, which is great. We can put ammo at the front without it affecting the placement of the front weapon, which is what happens on the Elco. We can put a lot of supplies. So this boat is capable of taking a lot of ammunition. It's got dedicated ammunition for its front and back weaponry, as well as generous stores for the rest of the crew. So this could really be the ultimate gunboat. Yeah, so we would put medikits up in the bridge. Makes sense. We wouldn't need that many medkits, so we would switch it to ammo. And we have 16 repair kits, which is a lot more than I ever usually take. And already we have, 32, 48, 56 cans of ammo And that's being generous, where we could put more repairs to make it more survivable, because this boat does have low survivability apparently. Very interesting. If we went with this loadout, I'm assuming we'd have to use a lot of crew on the guns and the rest as loaders. Alright guys, well that is pretty much the summary of the new shock and awe update, as well as what you will see. And we also have now the opportunity to change boats throughout our playthrough. So if we feel like we're suffering in the Huckins, we could switch over to 104. It looks like they all have the same amount of crew. Let's have a look here. 9 crewmen each. So there's no changes to that. Anyway, I am Commander Tyrael. This is Boat Crew. I hope you've enjoyed this coverage of the new patch. Murray Baker and PT104 are having a bit of a break, and they will be back on the waters this weekend, hoping to have a video out for you next week. Don't forget, we are having a giveaway of 1 code of Boat Crew. You need to join the Discord, give yourself the giveaway role, and that will be drawn on Christmas Eve, my time. Until then, catch you later. Commander Tyrael out.